Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of FTU Life After the Military. I'm your host, Tony Rodriguez, and today we have a repeat offender, Marilyn from Hawaii again, and we're joined by Dan. Dan, are you still in currently? Are you still in the
Yeah, I'm in
military?
the
Yeah.
Army Reserve.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, I try. I work really hard.
And so I had such good feedback with Marilyn being on. I wanted to invite her back on here, and also we didn't have enough time to talk about mental health. It does not matter how long I live on this planet, how much time I try to put myself in your position. I will never understand what it's like, one, to be a woman in the military, and I'll never understand how difficult it is to be a mother. Because for me, in the military, show up, play with the kids, take care of the kids, and I got to deploy again. Did that 11 times, and so I don't know how my wife did it. Now that I'm older, I try to be a little bit more appreciative and treat her better than I was treating her. So thank you. How was being a woman in the military for you, first off, Marilyn?
And I I didn't realize well, I was in it, right? I just didn't realize when I was in certain situations that might be toxic or just situations that weren't good. It just figured it was part of the job. We just need to get the job done. But yes, it had its challenges. There was that sense of, having to prove yourself or just being hyper aware of like your behavior and what people thought of you just because, especially once you move over to soft, it's like you're like one woman out of 100 people a lot of times. So there was that sense, but it wasn't an overly negative experience. I know some people do have quite some traumatic and negative experience in the military being a woman, but for me, I think a lot of the benefits that I gained outweighed some of the, more toxic side effects that we could have encountered. For example, like I'm a very introvert, shy person by nature. I know it doesn't sound like that, but I am. But if it wasn't for the military, and also like coming from a Latino household, was very, I grew up, like not questioning authority or, kind of staying in your lane. But in the military, I was kind of, even though it sounds counterintuitive, I was forced to kind of, step up a little bit more, a lot more in leadership roles, take on opportunities that I might have probably shied away from. So I'm grateful for that. Like it really forced me to become more outspoken, more of a leader. Um, then it helped me find people that I learned from that I probably would have never met had I not been in the military. Now that I'm out in the civilian world, a lot of my mentors are men, right? And the one thing that we connect on is the military. And that's like a connection we have. And it goes back to the networking we talked about. But again, people I probably would have never met, probably would have never found a connection with had it not been in the military. And now, like I say, it wasn't all good. There, I think with me, what really stuck with me in the military was that I didn't realize it until after I got out, was that I was never really myself. I never felt comfortable just being myself. Um, it was always that very guarded, be careful who you talk to, be careful what you say, what you do, always feeling like you're not good enough or trying to prove yourself, which at the end helped, I guess, because once I got out, I still continue with the whole like I have to prove myself. But now that I'm older, now that I've become a mom, it's not so much. I don't feel like I have to prove myself as much anymore. I feel like I've accomplished what I need to accomplish, and I'm okay now. But then I also just became a lot more comfortable just being myself and realizing that I'm weird, I'm goofy, and things that I really wasn't in the military. And I have like a very unserious sense of humor that didn't really come through when I was in command or when I was a platoon leader. Maybe more so with my team, but yeah, I think that was the big takeaway was that I just never felt like I could be myself. But that doesn't negate that, I wouldn't be where I am professionally, personally, had I not served in the military.
Hey Dan, so before we started recording, we were talking about we were both in the 95th together, right? And about Matt, we both know Matt, and you were his commander.
Yeah.
What was it like being a commander in the? I was an NCO, right? So I'll
Yeah.
never understand what that's like, being responsible for an entire company and having to deploy with them.
It was absolutely fantastic. I enjoyed every minute of it. Um, just the greatest Americans that I've ever worked with, and people that I've worked with. Amazing people like Marilyn. She wasn't in my company, but her husband was, and he was just the best. And and like I took it. I am exactly what Marilyn just said. I am a goofball. I take. I appear to take nothing seriously. I will talk 99% of the time about TV and Marvel and Star Wars and whatever it is, the flavor of the day. And I don't know why I see my screens. But anyway, I'll talk about everything crazy and not work because I feel like you should have fun at work. And we I was in charge of a team of professionals that will get the job done. But understanding that, I was dead serious, absolutely dead serious on ensuring my people were taken care of. And they had the training that they needed to be successful when they deployed. So I took that very seriously, um, even though we had fun at the same time, right? Uh, and like I was thinking what Marilyn said, I never felt not myself in the military because I've always been myself, which which is one of the reasons why a lot of people love me and very few people hate me, right? They just could not even believe to begin why I was doing the things I was, and all I was doing was being myself, right? But that's okay. I grew, and I appreciate that. So, um, I had to grow out of that and understand that some people might not like me for some reasons or no reasons at all. That's perfectly fine. No one could ever say I didn't take care of my soldiers. I didn't train them the best I could. I didn't teach with my entire heart. I didn't command with everything I did. I mean, I'm a commander right now, a battalion commander right now. I'm changing out next week, right? Gonna go do a great job. But I had to relieve somebody today. I don't want to do that, but it's my job, right? It's like there's certain things that you have to do in your job, and even though I'm the most hilarious guy in the world, but this is a serious job. We are professionals, and we do professional things. I sent teams all over Asia um, to meet with ambassadors and ministers of health. You did the same thing when you were there. Marilyn did the same thing when she was there, and it's serious. But we don't have to be. It's a very serious business. But we can enjoy ourselves, and it's a shame that she couldn't be herself. It makes it hurts my soul. But I'm glad that you got what you got out of it, Marilyn. And it, it ended up being worth it. Like
Oh
the
yeah.
self editing and stuff like that. I don't want anybody to edit themselves. I want them to be truly express themselves and stuff like that. So I encourage that with my people that anyone I've been part of my military career. Um, I just encourage them to be themselves and to do the right thing, and it'll come through in the end. Some people might not like that, but hey, you know, some people not like you regardless. And
Yeah.
which is really interesting about the transition piece, right? I see a lot of conversations about that with transition. People are like, there's some people who we like, use your military rank, use your official photo. They're very important, right? And some people are like, how dare you call yourself a sergeant major? You're not. No one cares about your rank in the future. And I'm like, newsflash, people, nobody cares about you regardless,
Yeah.
right? So like, you could be in the military, you could be a world Nobel Peace Prize winner, you could be a world class chef, you could be a waiter. No one else cares, like regardless. So you just be you. If you love the military, embrace it. I left the active duty in 16, and I'm still embracing it every day. I love it. I love the Army. It doesn't love me back, but that's okay. I understand that. Um, but if you want to use, if you're in the defense industry business, you might want to use your rank. You might want to call
Hmm.
yourself sergeant major. If you're proud of being in first cav or civil affairs, I talk about, hey, I'm civil affairs every single where I go. Special operations, first cav, artillery. I'm extraordinarily proud of it, and I talk about it everywhere I go. Some people are ashamed of it. Some people want to run away from it. That's okay. That's good for them. I'm gonna be true to myself, right? I talked to a group of students yesterday, 50 students from the I don't know, I'm gonna get the name wrong here, but it's like the National Student Leadership Academy, and they were getting meetings in DI by DIA, Department of State, DoD, stuff like that, and then they get guest speakers. So they wanted me to guest speak, and I spoke. I talked about everything, and I had an absolute blast, right? So, yeah, just wanted to hit those quick points about, you know, how our experiences kind of match, but be true to yourself, and it'll come through in the end.
Yeah, those are valid points, and I think Marilyn and I discussed it previously, right? Like, there's no one specific way to transition, right? Marilyn emphasized networking. When I retired, I did not want to network at all.
Yeah,
Like, I'm going to do this all by myself. It's going to be my credit and mine alone, which is a very stubborn and ignorant way to transition. I just happen to be very lucky. That's all. And
yeah,
so it worked out for me. I don't recommend people do that. If you're able to network, then go network. If you know somebody in the industry where you want to work, ask for their help. Maybe they can give you a referral.
yeah,
Something, anything, right? If you want to use your rank, go ahead. If not, don't. If you whatever. You know, I like you can see I have my like anime. You'd be amazed at how many nerds are out there and love to talk about Dragon Ball Z.
yeah.
And
And
that's
my
an
son,
instant, yeah, right? Your son likes it? Yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, you could do it alone. You don't have to do it alone,
Yeah.
right? You could find people who've been through it before. I think
Hmm.
that's my like. I got out. I did the VA stuff, right? That's a junk. It's a mess doing that stuff. Absolute
Yeah.
nonsense. And if you go on LinkedIn, some people will like, if let's say God forbid you go on LinkedIn and ask about it, some people will reach out to you and help you extremely well, and some people will say that you betrayed the country the way that you did it, which is insane, I think. But bottom line is that you, sometimes you have to put yourself out there and be vulnerable. I helped. I told. I I did it. I lost
Hmm.
$24,000 cash in the garbage because somebody didn't check a box or fill out a form. And I would never want my children could have gotten $24,000, right?
Hmm.
And so Marilyn's there. I don't want her kids to lose $24,000, so I'm going to tell her what I went through and hope that it doesn't happen to her, right?
Yeah,
And
and I mean, Danny was the one that kind of pushed me to have my rating relooked at because I did my VA stuff when I got out, got my rating. I was so mad. Like all the neck and back issues that I've had, they came back and it's not service connected. And I'm like, oh, really? And it was like within a year of getting out. So I just gave up on it and then just didn't even think about it. And it wasn't until after I had the girls, and I think I mentioned it a little bit when we last talked, Tony. It was like I became a mom, and then I just realized how much I was struggling physically, mentally, and then I was like, okay, let me, maybe I should have this relooked at. But Danny was the one that like planted the seed. He was like, you're rated at what?
yeah,
And so I went back, looked at it, did get quite a bump. Still getting, I'm getting another CMP exam because I took it to higher level review and they
Yeah.
found an error duty to assist. So I was like, oh, had I just done this, 7 years ago, I wouldn't have missed out on that. So yeah, he's absolutely right.
but you don't know. Well, we don't know what we don't know, right?
Yeah.
I thought it was fine. I'm like, I'm getting out. Everything's great. I got a rating. And then like I start getting sick and I'm in bed for the whole day. I'm like, what's going on here? And like, I think there's other things wrong with me that's really affecting me, and it's true. And that's a very unfortunate place to be in, but I don't want other people to suffer the way I did, right? That's what I tell
Mhm.
Marilyn. I tell every single person I've ever worked with, um, to make sure they're taken care of. I tell my friend every month. I tell him I don't want to hassle him too much, because he still has issues, and I'm like, hey, you gotta, like, they broke it, they should pay for it, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's what I'm telling you, right now. But some people want to steal the conversation and talk about other nonsense that has nothing to do with you. Like, not everybody deserves 100%. Don't use Vet Guardian. They're criminals. Blah blah blah. It's like, listen, I'll tell you who's never helped me before. You've never helped me before. Guy talking smack, right? Like, but like, let me do what I did, and um, get my friends the help they need. People, like, I posted about it. I got so much hate, but I got like 7 people. How I need help. Can you help me? What should I do? What's my next step? And I wrote up a bunch of tips, and I just gave it to Matt yesterday. I gave
Mhm.
my tips to Matt yesterday about getting out in mid-career, but it also works for getting out of retirement as well, right? Because when I got out, you know who cared?
Right.
Nobody called me, right? The brigade
Yeah.
commander gave me a little briefing. He said the only thing he told me was you can't come back in because we're downsizing. And
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, like, good luck. And then guess what? So I want to make sure other people are taken care of. So I look forward to
And
help.
fortunately, so I was the team sergeant for 6 years, right? And that wears on you mentally, right?
That's a lot of work.
In the 98th, it felt like as a team sergeant that you were walking a tightrope, and every time you took a step successfully, they gave you something else to carry. And so after 6 years, and Marilyn can tell you, I was miserable. I was miserable, and it was only because of people like Marilyn and Al and Fernando that I didn't just walk off into the woods and never come back. Because about 2015, I had enough. I didn't want to be a team sergeant anymore. 6 years is like, come on, what are we doing here? And but now, I want to help people, and so like you were talking about the VA rating, right? Well, I had my friend Junior who told me when I was at the end, I was just going to retire. He's like, "You're in so much pain, you don't even understand that that's not normal."
Mhm.
There's a meme about that. Did you see the meme?
Yeah.
Uh, uh,
It's the monkey with the eyes, and he's just like, the doctor said, so how much pain are you experiencing? And he's like, oh, the same amount as usual. And he's like,
yeah,
no pain is supposed to be the usual amount.
yeah,
And then the monkey goes, uh,
yeah,
right? Like, but we,
yeah, yeah. And so
yeah,
he's like, "You need to go have your shoulders looked at." It's like, your shoulders, like you have the shoulders of an 80-year-old man.
yeah,
So I did, and the doc's like, "We have to med board you." I'm like, "I don't even know how you're still in." So I went that route, and I'm glad I did because they held my hand through the whole VA process.
that's good.
And when I filed my claim, I had like 15 things that I was claiming, and the person who helped me out with it is like, "We're going to review this," and when we finished, it was like 35. It's like, yeah, you're not claiming things because you don't think that they're an issue, but normal people, their knees don't hurt every day,
Yeah,
right? Your knees hurt because you've jumped out of airplanes for 21 years. That's not normal.
Mhm.
yep,
And it's
yeah,
like, you
Yeah.
building a fort of pillows so you can go to sleep at night
That's me.
is that's not normal. But that was my normal, and I didn't know until
yeah,
somebody told me. It's like, yeah, you're making do with with what you have.
yeah. And the same for mental health, like PTSD stuff,
Yeah,
right? It's like,
yeah,
I told other people, like, I told my friends, oh, make sure you get checked for PTSD, and they said I don't have PTSD. I'm like, I said, hey, you know how when you're driving and like someone cuts you off and you like want to murder them? Like, yeah, that's not normal. And they're like,
It's
what? It's
not.
not normal? It's not. And I said, no, it's not. And I said, you know how you put your back to the restaurant wall instead of like sitting out in the middle, and then you check all the exits. And, like, you think that's just your training? Like, that's not just your training, right? Like, there's a reason why you're doing that, right? and it has to do with the fact that your body and mind was in a state of hyper awareness
Mhm.
for anywhere from 6 to 15 months in Bangladesh or Iraq. Maybe you were getting V-beds thrown at you. Maybe you were getting rockets. Maybe you were just getting passive-aggressive emails, right? But you had to deal with these. Your body overcompensated for what your brain couldn't deal with every day, and now you're feeling the effects about it. And that's the same thing, vice versa. So you might want to get that looked at. And all you got to do, and people go, oh, people lie about stuff and blah, blah, blah. They get VA rating. No, 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 no. You walk in there and you tell the truth, and
Mhm.
they're going to write it down because that's what happened, the truth, right?
Yeah.
And Marilyn knows, right? Like, you just tell them the truth. This is what happened. I was over there, rocks were falling around me. This is how I feel. This is what happened to me. And they just write it down. But people are afraid to do it because they don't want to be seen as broken. And I gotcha. I didn't want to be seen as broken. And I'm,
And so that
you know,
comes back to like what you were saying, right? Like when you get out, how many people called you,
oh, nobody.
right? And so
Mhm.
like I tell people, it's like, why are you worried about people who are in the military? Because once you get out, how many of them are going to call you?
Well, and to be fair, though, like, they were still in. They're doing their job, right?
Yeah. Oh,
But
yeah.
the
Mhm.
closest people I've ever been with are people still in. Like the people who they still call me for my
Yeah.
soldiers call me for Christmas. They tell me happy birthday, right? Like Matt texts me, and things like that, right? Uh, I try to text Dave. Dave's an answer, but other people, right? They still reach out to me, and that's still beneficial. But yeah, you're talking about I get what you're saying is that, like, you can't just tie yourself to that forever, but you can build relationships that last
Yeah.
long, right?
Mhm.
Some people
But that's the
don't want to
difference
keep those
because
relationships.
we're used to an everyday interaction,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
or
Mhm.
you get the regular text and you get it on Signal and WhatsApp and Wicker, Cellcrypt, right? You're messaging everybody around the world. Then all of a sudden it just goes quiet. Not because
Yeah,
they don't. Some people were just your colleagues.
yeah,
Maybe you have some friends, right? But it goes quiet either way because they're still on the train and we got off,
yeah, yeah. That's true.
right? So and that's just life, right? They still have a job to do. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just, and it's not being selfish. It's like this is just our time to take care of ourselves, right? That's okay. Like people are embarrassed about it. It's like my shoulders hurt, man. I don't want my shoulders to hurt anymore.
Mhm.
How about hurt just a little bit less? And that's okay. That's fine. I'm not.
Yeah, you got to take
And
care of yourself. It's like you said about your marriage and stuff like that. You got to take care of your family too, right? Regardless of what you're doing. Um, it's tough to, Marilyn was talking about being female in the military. When you have kids in the military, it's 10 times harder. Like, that's just the worst. Um, and then now I see things going on. It's just crazy. Um, I've seen, like, I saw one person have a baby, and they deployed her immediately after the convalescent leave was over, whatever that day was, for a year to Kuwait. I think that's a war crime. I cannot imagine something so offensive and insane that needs to happen. But then, like last month, I had to approve 12 weeks of leave for a male who had a baby, and I'm like, 12 weeks? That's insane. I said there has to be a happy medium between. I'm like, the biggest offense in my mind was this is the same military that deployed that mom to Kuwait for a year is the same one giving you 12 weeks. I got 12 days, and they made me feel so guilty about that. I think 12 days might be too much. It might be just right. Depends. But it's funny, right? It's like
Different times.
yeah, different
Especially,
different
yeah,
times.
because now the women are getting 12 weeks, which is a lot more generous than what you get
I
in
think they get more
most
than that.
civilian world.
They
In
get
most of the
more.
civilian world, right? I might have gone AWOL if they would have sent me, because at the
Yeah,
time I think it was 6 weeks or 12 weeks. There was a time where it might have been just 6 weeks of convalescent leave, and maybe then it went up to 12 weeks for women. But I know for me, and I work from home, and after I had my first baby, Work was gracious enough to give me 14 weeks paid. So that's another thing too. When you get out, you're covered by FMLA, and then depending on what arrangements you have at work, it could be short-term disability, and that sometimes is just a portion of your salary. In some places, it's 50% of your salary. In other places, it's maybe a little bit more. I was lucky at my job; it was all fully paid. The first time around, I got 14 weeks. And even at the 14-week mark, working from home and my baby's like a few rooms down, I felt so bad being away from her, and I would hear her cry and I couldn't concentrate. And my boss at the time, she was so gracious. I showed up my first day and she just told me, okay, this is the plan to ramp you back up into work. It's going to be like a slow ramp up. You're going to have a month to kind of get yourself adjusted to being back at work. I was like, oh, thank you. But yeah, even then it was so hard. And then the second time around, a little bit easier because I already knew what I was doing, kind of. But that time around, I think I got 16 weeks, maybe. At that point, I felt a little bit bolder to ask for 2 more weeks. But that's when Dave got the 12 weeks. And then the first time around, I think it was less because the new policy hadn't gone into effect. But even he said, he's like, I feel like it's too soon to go back. He's like, she's not ready to be alone. And then he also felt bad leaving me. And we have my mom that lives with me, right? So we have all the support we could ask for. But I'll say like the 12 weeks, having the dad around for 12 weeks really, really does help. I don't know
Thumbs down for me. Thumbs down.
I don't know how like spouses do it when they have babies and their husbands are deployed, right? Or they
that's I know. I totally agree.
Right away. Like I couldn't. That just breaks my heart. Just thinking about, being left completely alone with a new baby. And then just thinking about like everything else I went through postpartum, but just add the layer of being alone and maybe in a place where you don't know many people, and then now you don't have that support of your partner.
Yeah.
So things changed quite a bit. When I was in the 82nd, my daughter was born in 2002 on a Saturday night. After she was born, I called my mother, to let her know, and then her other grandmother, and then I called my squad leader. And he called me back 30 minutes later, and he said, hey, the first sergeant said, make sure you're at PT at 0620 on Monday morning.
Awesome.
It's like, do I get any leave? It's like, if you have leave, you can take it, but that's the only leave you're taking.
That's generous.
Yeah, I was going to say.
That they actually let you almost take leave.
It's like, okay,
at the
awesome.
end of the day, that's not taking care of your families and your soldiers. I mean, even if it's not the 12 weeks, it's a happy medium. Because you do need that support.
And I'm not in the military anymore, so I don't really have an opinion on the policies one way or the other, because it doesn't affect me, and so I don't really feel like should be. My opinion doesn't really count because I'm not in it. Like the jump masters now are getting paid more money. Right?
And then you're like, that's bull.
No, I've heard guys like complain. It's like, this is crap. It's like, what do you care? You're retired.
Yeah.
Like, good for them, right?
Like you don't even work anymore. You're like fully retired, bro. Like you don't do anything. Like, why are you mad?
I just said, my comment is, if you were in the military or are in the military, you have an absolute right to complain. You don't have a right to be mad about it, right? Because like you could have right, you know what I mean? Like there's some stuff you got to deal with. Yeah. Like you have the absolute right to complain. I do so very loudly all the time. But I get it. Like I'm not a jump master anymore. I'm not getting paid. But guess what? I don't want to jump either. So
that's the best part about being out, right? Like if we want to voice our opinion on it, we can. If we don't, we don't. My wife was asking me like, have you seen these protests? It's like, yeah, I'm going to go up there protest with one side, and about 2 hours later, I'm going to turn around and go on the other with protest.
Yeah, with the other group. That'll alert them.
Just because I want to protest. I don't even care what we're protesting.
Yeah, because I can, right? That's fun. But yeah.
And so, hey, Marilyn, I wanted to touch back. You said that you went and you had your VA rating we looked at. How did you go about that process?
So, well, first I got a little push, a little nudge from Danny, and then just talking to other people as well that had gone through the process. And of course, everyone gets so mad, right? At some point or another, going through with the VA because sometimes I feel like they do make it hard on purpose to make sure, like, do you really want this, right? Are you
Yeah.
going to try again? And then I went on, so I did it on my own. I thought about getting help, but then Danny, again, he was like, just try doing it on your own. So I did the intent to
I said
file.
you can do it on
Yeah, you can do it on
and
your
then
own, right? But
try,
yeah,
and my guidance
try.
is the same. You can't do it on your own. You try to get the free people. There's a bunch of free organizations that do it.
Right,
Try to get their help, and if that doesn't work, it's your VA rating, not someone else's. I've been called a tyrant, a war criminal, a thief, and I'm like, yo, it's not your VA rating. Like,
right.
and you're not the one paying it. You're not the one filing it. You're not the one sick of it. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. So, I got those pointers. So then I just did the intent to file, just filled in the different conditions. And I did try to use a VSO, but the VSO here that I used was really just garbage. I couldn't get that lady on the phone. I would send her an email and ask, like, can I have times you're available so we can talk through this? I wouldn't get any response. So then I just ended up just pushing through on my own. And then um, the one thing I did do was I did comb through my medical records with a fine tooth comb. At the time, TRICARE Online was still available, so I went and downloaded everything. But I think they still give you like the CD, I think, or at least the printouts when you get out. So I went through that and just made sure that I had records of what I was asking. And then when I didn't have enough medical records, I went and I asked for buddy statements. So my biggest complaint is this shoulder neck pain that I have, and it all started after that MRX at Camp Lejeune. That's when it started, where I fell off of one of the obstacle courses, and then just like a whole bunch of other stuff that happened that day. So my team sergeant wrote a statement, a buddy statement for me, just what was going on that day. And then I wrote my own statement, just talking about how it's impacted me in my life, my daily life. And then my husband wrote a statement for me as well, just talking about the different aspects and how it's impacted my life. I did not read that statement on purpose. And I told him, write whatever, I was like, be truthful, write, be honest. I'm not going to look at this. So, he wrote something in there too. Yeah, I really didn't look at the buddy statements other people wrote for me. I just sent them the link on how to submit it. But, whatever they wrote, whatever was in my records, it worked out because came back, my rating got improved, and then even came back with an error on their end. I had to do a few CMP exams as well, which the mental health one is always like a one that drains you, just sitting there and talking about like all these things with someone all over again, repeating the stories over and over again. But then the other ones, I did one for hearing, one for rhinitis, so for my nose, and then in a couple of weeks I have to go back for another one for my back. But the process the first time around took about 4 months from submitting evidence to getting the answer. And then the higher level review, I think, took maybe about 2 to 3 months to have the reviewer check it out. And then I went through and I told her where I thought they had errors, and she made a decision on one condition the next day, and then she put in for another CMP exam for the error in duty to assist. So it hasn't, it's gotten a lot better, right, than the first time I did this back in 17.
And to piggyback off that, you have to address the culture of the military, right? Like, did a medic evaluate her when she fell off the obstacle? No. Right? Did anybody
Right.
write it down? No. Did anybody
No.
keep that record? No. Did anybody put it in her med pros? No.
No. And
Right?
here's the thing, like I went to Thor. Thor treated me from whenever that MRX was, like July, August, all the way till October when I deployed, and then they treated me when I got back. There was no mention of it in any of my records from when I went to
No.
Thor. There was only one instance where the physical therapist from Thor, like, I was so lucky she did that one thing, but that's what I honed in on. I was like, this is like one of the times I was treated. Any other time that I went to, because that's what we did. We would go to Thor, but it wasn't recorded in any of my medical records. All the treatment I got at Thor.
Did you go to those Thor people and have them write that they saw you? Because they
Uh,
could do that. They could say,
like after the fact.
They could say, yeah, after the fact. They could say, they could even. Well, it depends if you're still reserve or not. They could put it in as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but because you could actually put it in after the fact, but they can say Marilyn was my patient,
Mm-hmm.
which is stronger than my friend Marilyn or my
Right.
coworker Manny. So, and that's what I did. I sent you all my stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes. So I said, yeah, and why did I have to go through it? Because they evaluated me for something, and then they just didn't check for it. They put this guy has this, and they didn't put it in in the stuff, so they never even looked at that. Well, 4 years later, a denial, an appeal, and an approval, I got that one thing that they missed initially
Mm-hmm.
approved. And what's that delta? $24,000
Yeah.
and 4 years. Unacceptable. Why? Because I said, give me the paperwork from that appointment, and I'll show you that this was assessed. And they said, it's in Central Records in Ohio. You have to request it. Well, 4 years later, they still never found that piece of paper because it was done by some Senegal doctor in some fly-by-night, shop in the corner of Ramsey, right? Just like everyone else, everyone goes through this. It's just true. So um, that's just a fact. So they don't have the records; they don't keep it. So the culture of the military is there's some parts of it that are broken, and one of that
Mm-hmm.
is that you don't go to the doctor when you're sick.
Right.
Fact. You're sick in the army, you suck it up, you drive on. You don't go to the doctor. That's just a fact. Um, and that's the culture that's in part of the system. But now you need to accept that before you get out, you need to take care of yourself and make sure your stuff is squared away to evaluate all the stuff that happened to you while you were in. Right.
Mm-hmm.
All the many times you were not seen when you should have
Mm-hmm.
been seen. The
Yeah.
times you were throwing up in Bangladesh, right? Because you had to go on mission or whatever, right?
You're
Or
right.
whatever it is. And because and I have friends that um have 0% because they didn't file. And I asked them, how much is cancer? It's free, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cancer's free. And if you get sick tomorrow because of stuff that happened to you in the army and they didn't evaluate it on your VA claim and everything like that, you'll never get any money for it. You'll have to pay for everything to treat yourself, and that's on you. It's free to get that. But instead, you could file for your stuff that happened to you while you're in service and make sure you get that. And I highly encourage everybody to do that and get help to do that, regardless of who's helping you. The only thing I encourage is you don't lie.
Right.
Surprise, right? Don't break the law, people. Everything else is legal. Don't break the law, right? But there's people you can't argue this on LinkedIn. I got people sending me hate mail about it. This guy said, "Are you even a veteran?" Can you imagine that, Marilyn? This guy, he's not even in the military. He said, "Am I a veteran? Are you crazy?" Um, but yeah. So, uh, everyone getting out, listening to this, I have some tips I shared. With people getting out, and it's like before you get out, ensure. I'll just go through them right now. Before you get out, you have to go to the doctor and tell them every single thing that's wrong with you during your entire career, and that you want to be evaluated for it. And they will send you to get checked out if it's ongoing or persistent and documented. That is key to getting the claims because it has to be documented. And more importantly, it has to be you can't get it treated unless it's documented. So you
Mm-hmm.
get it documented, then you get it treated. If you can't get it treated and it's just something you have to deal with your entire life, like a scar, right? Or PTSD, um, then you can claim it later on, right? But the most important thing is that you get it and assessed and then treated. even if it's the last day of being in the Army, right? You just get it written down. Then you can take that and move on with it. That way you don't have to do stuff after the fact. That's a thing that nobody tells you, but I'm telling you, I care.
So I wanted to ask you about how you went about filing doing your claim again, having it relooked. Because I know I know a few people who have used the VFW and what is it, the American Legion, and it's been mixed results. Like anywhere else. You have some people who are experienced with it and other people who are not. Right. So that's just another avenue to go. For my for some reason I claimed cyanitis, right?
Yeah.
And they said no, denied. For some reason that just stuck with me. So everything else they gave me, but not that. It's like that's the one I want, right? Doesn't matter, right? I can be treated for it. It doesn't matter. Right? Like, give me a rating of 0%. And so I just went through the same route. I appealed it and went. There's the 3 levels that you can go. After the second level, I said, "What am I doing here? Like I'm just doing this just to be stubborn, right? It's not going to make a difference in my treatment one way or the other." And so
would it
I
make
just
a difference
dropped
in
it.
your rating?
No, my rate. I'm 450%.
Yeah. So like I think that I mean, for everybody listening, right? If you're already at 100%, it kind of doesn't matter what you get
Yeah,
rated on after
yeah,
that. You
yeah,
still get treated at the VA for whatever it
yeah,
is, right?
yeah.
So you might have been just stubborn. You
Yeah.
might have been just stubborn, right? Because
And
they're also gonna deny everything because they don't. Why waste the time looking at it? But,
yeah.
I had 5
So
stuff.
I had this discussion with Scott Story, right? Remember Colonel Story? Is it stubbornness or is it perseverance? I don't know. In this instance, it was just stubbornness, and I could admit that it was just
Yeah.
being like, no, it made no difference whatsoever.
So
But
you want me to
you
tell you
know,
how I did the thing?
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, you got me go. Yeah, because Marilyn kind of talked about her thing, right? Uh, so before you get out, you go to the VSO representative in out processing, right?
Yeah,
That's the number one thing you got to do. And then hopefully before you get out, you did all your records that you collect every single medical record you have in the military, right? And then you apply through that and ensure you put everything that's on there and stuff that's usually for people like us. So, for example, you're a combat vet, multiple deployment jump master, right? You had dengue, I assume, right? From being in South Tom, or what's the
yeah.
other one? Not dengue.
Chikungunya or
Yeah,
Zika.
chikungunya and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You had that. Like, that's just mathematically, that's what you have. Here's some stuff. You're a male, combat arms. You uh you should be if I were just a normal person, I'd say get checked for sleep apnea,
Yeah.
um, uh, uh, rhinitis or sinusitis, TBI, migraines, tinnitus, erectile dysfunction, and PTSD because you're a male in combat arms for the last 20 years. That's why I would recommend those 7 things.
Yeah.
Because the chances of you having all those and them tying together are, I'm not a doctor, but this is what I know. That's a fact. Because every single person I know has 2 or more of those things. That's just a fact.
Yeah.
So that's what I would recommend to you, and I recommend it to anybody else in your position, right? If you're a jump master, you should be checking out your knees, legs, head, shoulders, knees and toes, right? And your back. You should be checking those as well. So anyway, you get that before you get out. That's much more important than getting out. Once you get out, it's much harder for everybody who's listening. And if you go to the reserve, you're still in, so you could add on. But if you're not going to the reserves, you can't add on, right? So the way you add on is to claim it, hopefully tie it back into something in your medical records. If you can't tie it into anything in your medical records, you have to get those medical records or get a buddy statement of people who treated you, like Marilyn just said, or people treated her, didn't write it down. She could go to that captain so-and-so and she could write a little thing that says, hey, I treated you. I went to my doctor and she did, or my medics. And then having said that, you get buddy statements of people who deal with you every day. They see they were there when it happened. They were there to observe the treatment. They were there to observe all that stuff. And they were there to see you dealing with the issue because they're paying you for you dealing with the issue as it continues. So I went to after I got my assessment and rating, I went to the local VSO. I went to the American Legion. I went to other ones. I did not. They kind of looked at my stuff, but also didn't, and they kind of like wished me well on my way. And when I went, if you the VA will absolutely not discuss anything about this with you at all. The doctors in the VA, they will not,
Yeah.
unless it's a
Mhm.
unless it's that exam. The what's it called? The,
Mhm.
uh, those people are looking for something specific. No one will ever tell you, oh, this is uh, this your thing in your nose is from rhinitis. Have you ever been sick before? Well, I lived in Iraq for 2 years in sandstorms and dead
Mhm.
carcasses and burning buildings, right? And they're like, oh, that could cause it. And I said, okay, great. Hey, can you write that down? Okay, yeah. Then they write it down, right? And I could use that later. But they will not talk to you about a rating or anything like that. So don't even bother. So anyway, the key thing is that you're writing how this affects your life. So for PTSD, for example, a 70% rating in PTSD means that it affects your life every single day. Well, guess what? Most of the people I know, it affects their life every single day. Me included, right? So that's like a 70%. Um, uh, if you don't feel like, if it is affecting you every day, that I didn't make this up. It says it right there in the book. So don't, oh, he said a thing, make it up. It says it right there, right? Like I didn't make it up. I didn't tell the therapist, you know, I think, and I quote the book. No, I just tell her it affects me every day, and she wrote it down, and that's it. I got the rating. So, other people can understand that. So those people kind of helped me, and they kind of didn't. I did approach a group that um, there's people that you pay for services, right? Now there's people who say we'll get you 100% no matter what. I highly don't recommend talking to those people because they're obviously promising something they cannot promise. Or if they can promise it, it's illegal, right?
Mhm.
But if there's someone who's willing to help you and you pay them, I don't have a problem with that. I did it. And they helped me. Every time I talked to them, they helped me. They looked at my stuff, they did that. None of the free people did it. And you know what? If you go to your free person and they help you, fantastic. I highly recommend you do that. But also, you should do what you need to do to be helpful. The same organization helped multiple of my friends, and that's okay, right? Because I think it was worth it. Ask my family if it was worth it, right? I use it. I struggle every day. I have to pay for pain medicine. I have to pay for whatever. It helps me. Um, so I would say keep trying to reach out to every organization you can to talk about it. I did. I talked to the guys at SOCOM Care Coalition.
Yeah.
The Care
Mm.
Coalition. They didn't review my. They said they didn't have time to review my file. I thought I was soft, right? I don't know. Like they didn't have time to review my file. Okay, so well, I guess it's just Gomez alone, right? So I just went to the doctor, wrote stuff down. Went to call my friend, wrote this down. I talked to my medic, my first sergeant, my friend who was a former medic and worked with me at SWIC. Um, my past doc from '97, who examined me in Sri Lanka, gave me medicine in Sri Lanka when I was there, and she wrote, "He was my patient. I saw it. I saw him do this, right?" And guess what? All of that writing, all of those statements, all of those appeals were for something that they messed up on in the first place, and they should have given me, right? So don't give up. Ensure that you're getting. If they break it, they bought it, is what I tell everybody, right? And it's okay. Like I don't want to feel broken, but here's the fact, right? We're old. You're getting older. This is a fact, right? And everything hurts, and I'm dying, right? So
Yeah.
that's all I could say. Like Marilyn said, she didn't know some stuff was going wrong until the babies, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and it was I don't know. I think you hit on something really important is going to the doctor while you're still in, right? And especially the mental health piece because we overlook it so much while we're in, right? We all lie in the health assessments, everything's fine, nothing went wrong. But I think and I'm glad I did it. I mean, I was maybe 6 months before getting out, like my refrad was in and everything, and I had a breaking point well, I was in command still, and I just had a breaking point. And the social worker that would treat my soldiers, we would have a meeting every Friday to go through like the different issues we had in the company. And then one day I was just like, I need to talk to someone. Like if I'm not at rock bottom, I am close to it. So she linked me up with someone, and I started going to appointments and then just talking through like different things. And I wasn't even secretive about it because I would be in the waiting room and like some of my soldiers would see me and I'm like, hey, yeah, I'm here myself. But that kind of like planted the seed for me being able to get treatment and, benefits later on. But had I not done it then, like I probably would have had a much harder time. So I really do tell people like go to mental health. One, because it's good for you, it's good for your family. You do need to talk some things through. Don't try to push through. Don't try to be the tough guy or gal. The other thing too is you want to start getting some of these issues documented because um, like it or not, we're all impacted by it at some degree, right, in our lives. And like I said, I didn't realize how much it impacted me until I had my daughters and I started going through postpartum, and then I realized how bad it was. And I went almost a year after having my first daughter without really realizing how bad it was until I went to my VA checkup, and she asked me, how are you doing mentally? And I started answering like truthfully. And all of a sudden I see my provider just kind of get a little bit quiet, a little bit tense. She steps away and she's like, I will be right back. And then I get a phone call like they had a phone in the exam room, and I'm like, hello? And they're like, well, this is the social worker. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like I thought I was gonna get put in like some psych hold at that moment. I'm like, oh my God, what did I just do? And then because of that, then I ended up being enrolled in EFMP, which made our PCS a lot more stressful than it needed
Oh,
to be.
what the heck?
I was like, oh my God, great, like the irony. But yeah, that was like the tipping point when I realized that something's not right here, and I need help, right? And I need additional help, and I probably should get this relooked at. And then when I had my second daughter, I started having similar feelings. So that way I knew what to do now. Like I knew exactly like who I needed to go talk to, what type of meds I needed if I did need meds. So yeah, so that's my thing. Especially start going to mental health. Like even just start going talk to someone. Sometimes it's just nice to talk and vent to someone that's a neutral third
The
party.
neutral party, and
So
then you get them on your side.
Yeah.
even for people that are out, right? Because we're talking a lot about like people who are still in, which is great because they still have the resources. But like for people who are out, like if you didn't file, like it's not too late. It might require a little bit more work, but you can still
Right.
file a VA claim,
Yeah.
right? Just like I hear guys like make sure you get your insurance before you get out. Yeah, you should. It's like one, you should have life insurance regardless when it is. It's like because that 400,000 in the military is going to go quick.
Yeah.
Right, so you should
Not
probably
much.
have more life insurance. So like 400,000 isn't going to cover it anymore.
And
Yeah.
and you get mental health services from the vet centers that are in collaboration with the VA. It's free.
Yeah.
It's on the internet, and I still have my vet center from Long Island, right? And she's fantastic. She's great. I'd see her every month.
And
But people
not
can do that even if you've gotten out. You can sign up for that if you're getting VA services, whether it's
and not all
VA or
VA facilities are the same. I just want to
yeah.
say that.
Right.
Well, I know,
my
but you can't. But
yeah,
even if it's not, you can get the vet
yeah.
center, right? Like
No,
so.
yeah, no. I just want to make sure that people
And
know, like,
that's another thing. Not all
if you have
VA
a bad
facilities are the same. Very important.
if you have a
Very
bad
important.
experience with one, try another one.
Try. Right. I see the guys here are fantastic. They're just great Americans, the nicest people, very professional, always trying to help. Then I hear horror stories where they refuse to do a test, like like they just denied my brother a test. He begged them. He's like, "I have this problem. Can you give me this test?" It's just a signature, and they refuse. I asked my guy, "Would you give me this test?" He's like, "Yeah. Why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I give you the test?" So you just got to keep shucking and jiving. It's unfortunate that we have to do that. We should just get the test, right? Shouldn't that be easier?
Mhm.
But but keep moving, just like in the military, right? Keep
No, so
Yeah.
I have to give some credit to the VA facility out in Rayford because our service is so piss poor. They're the actual focus of my dissertation.
Oh,
So,
that sucks.
so thank you
Well,
for that.
yeah, try the one on Ramsey, I guess.
I just started going up to Durham. They're
Oh,
closer
well,
to
that's
me.
what I
So
use. I use the Durham
yeah.
one, right?
So
So, like I said, they're great, but
yeah.
uh, uh, yeah, just keep moving, guys. Unfortunately, hey, yes, here's a secret. I want to tell everybody. It's the same with civilian doctors too,
Oh
everyone.
yeah.
Right? I went for my first civilian doctor appointment after 4 years out of active duty, and the lady laughed at me. She said I didn't know I was talking about, and she gave me a bunch of medication that had nothing to do with my problem. Right? And I was so offended. I didn't see another civilian doctor for 3 years because I didn't want to like have to go through that
Mhm.
again. Right? I said I have problems with my stomach. I have problems with my stomach for 15 years. And she said, "That's not where your stomach is." And I said, "The hell is wrong?" Like, what is wrong with you, right? And guess what? I went to another doctor, and she was the nicest thing ever, and the civilian person, right? And she helped me out and stuff.
Mhm.
But that's great. Hey, it's a secret, guys. It's not. It's civilian world's just like that. Ask your
Yeah.
spouse, right? Right.
Well, now that I work in clinical trials, I think that also helped me peek behind the curtain when it comes to medical professionals. We're all people, right? Just how you had great people in the military, and same thing in the medical world. You have great people, great at their job. You have people that not so great, and everyone makes mistakes. So yeah, definitely, if you feel you weren't seen or treated accordingly, just try again with somebody else. I know sometimes it's hard because you're so frustrated and it's such a daunting process, but ultimately you're doing it for yourself and your family.
But that's part of transition, right? Because when we were in the military, we never went a sick call because
Right.
the
Yeah.
mission. And
Yeah.
now we're just dealing with what normal people deal
Yeah. Normal.
with
Yeah.
regular doctors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? It's just new to us because we never went.
Yeah. And we have
Yep.
we have significant problems
Yeah.
caused by server, right? Yeah.
So
Yep. And you mentioned something about getting denied tests. That happened to me here. So the VA here in Hawaii, there's a new one that's by Kapolei where I live, and that one's been great. I went to the one that's next to Tripler. I think that's like the main one.
So,
And I went complaining about my neck and back pain, and the doctor I went to see, he the way he phrased it, he would be like, "Well, normally we only get complaints like that from the older vets, or he's like, the guys that did hard stuff, like rangers and paratroopers. I wouldn't." So he was pretty much saying like he wouldn't expect someone like me to have that type of pain, and I was like, "Oh, okay,
yeah. Why would a skirt be in an airborne unit?
yeah,
How many jumps? You have more jumps than him, right?
probably."
Yeah, you have more jumps than him. Like, oh my god.
so yeah, so one of the I had a brief the big boss today, right? He's gonna be the new SOCOM commander.
Oh,
Right? So awesome for me, but people like were asking, are you nervous? It's like I don't know if you understand, but my PTSD and anxiety affects me in a way that I'm always nervous. So it's no
you're like the
different.
Hulk. I'm always
Yeah,
nervous.
yeah, it's no difference.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I mean I didn't think I was special until I was in my MBA program, and the people were freaking out about a slide, and I'm like, it's just a slide. Like, what are they gonna do? Fail us? No. Like, just brief the slide. And they're like, who's briefing it? Who wants to volunteer to brief it? I can't do it. I can't do it. And I said, I'll brief it. And they said, oh, do you need to rehearse? And I'm like, no. And I can guess what? We got an A because I did it. I mean,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I'm a little institutionalized in some stuff and not institutionalized in another stuff, right? So like
Yeah.
when your
It's like
worlds
chill
collide,
out.
things
That's
happen.
before.
Um, uh, like one of the biggest things I had to get used to out of the military is people not doing what they say they were going to do, right? It's something that you learn. It's like they said they were going to do this thing, and then they didn't, and I have no recourse because I'm not in charge of them. And
Yeah.
I'm like, damn it, right? Which is something that we take for granted in the military, right? That we could affect the people who do their job. Like, they try to find a plumber. It's like, you said you were going to be here at 10, and then it don't show up. It's like, what?
Yeah.
It's like, I thought, like, don't you want money? I have money. Like, what's wrong? Like, did something happen? I don't know. No, nothing happened. They just didn't come. Okay. And then what do you got to
Add
do? You got to
island
call somebody
time
else.
on top of that.
Huh?
Here, add island time on top of
Oh,
that.
yeah.
That's
All right.
like
Yeah.
one of the frustrating things for me because, again, I work from home, right? So if they tell me they're going to be here at a certain time, I've cleared my calendar, make sure that I'm not in a meeting. And then sure enough, they always show up when I'm about to start a call.
Yeah.
But that I'm nervous thing, I totally get that. You know, one of the things I talk about this, I'm not afraid to talk about it, is like, I have massive PTSD from standing in formation, right? Jumping out of planes, no. Bombs exploding, nothing like that. If I am in formation, I feel like I'm having a heart attack. And I did the division change of command in the summer. It was
Yeah.
literally one of the worst days of my entire life. I just sat there. I mean, I just stood there in pain, in literal, agonizing, world-ending pain. And then a sergeant major comes up to me after. He goes, "Hey, you were moving a lot there." And I'm like, "Yeah, you know, I just have massive, life-altering PTSD." And then he goes, "Oh," and I'm like, "Yeah, that's it. That's all I could say. Like,
Yeah.
what do you want me to do? You made me stand in formation. I didn't want to be here. I would be a lot other places than standing out on this parade field, right?" But it's just something that I deal with. And I told my wife, so I said, "I'm not taking brigade command because I don't want to have to do that again. I don't care." But, like, maybe that's not the right answer, you know? Maybe I just have to deal with it, right? It sucked. It was miserable, but, you know, I told the guy. He's like, "Hey, well, what happened?" I said, "This is what happened." I mean, what are you gonna do? Kick me out? Send me to Iraq? Make me battalion commander? Ooh, I'm so scared, right? Like, no, you're not like. So I try to help other people. Like, if they're going through something, I'm here for you, brother. Like, I know it sucks. Like, let's get through this together. I don't want you to feel the same. I wish I could take that away from people, but they can't. They can't take it away from me. So we got to deal with it, right?
So I'll say this for my military experience and everything that I went through is starting this PhD program. For me, it's been a lot of fun, right? But we started out with 12 people in our cohort. That was 2.5 years ago, and we're down to 5, right? And the other 4 stress a lot. And I'm there, like, counting my points. It's like, on this final paper, I need a 10% to pass the class.
Yeah, I did that. I did that too. What was I?
You
Well,
get degrees.
Yeah, it's like, I need to make it to the dissertation.
I
These
said,
classes are great, but they mean nothing if I don't get to the dissertation and complete it. I'll stress out on the dissertation. Not now. These are just classes. Who cares?
yeah. We're blessed in that case, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's helped my cohort members. It's like, you don't seem to stress too much. It's like, they want my money. They're not going to kick me out because I got a B.
Yeah.
You know?
That's right. C's get degrees, right? Was it B's?
Yeah.
B's
It's
get degrees.
B's now, but even still, they're like, "Oh, don't you want a 4.0?" It's like, who cares?
Yeah, like that doesn't go on your resume. No one's gonna ask you what you're.
Some people, some people like, like, you gotta focus on what matters. I think that's one of the big things we learn in the military, right? We focus on what matters, and when you get out, it's the same thing. You focus on what matters, right? Whether it's, you know, slideology or sending an email. Somebody put it. I get the struggle. What was there's a famous meme out there. It's like, I used to run convoys up Route Irish, you know, for all summer long during the surge, and now I'm paralyzed for 45 minutes on writing an email. Right?
Oh yeah.
Like that is a problem, but, like, I mean, I guess it's just a problem. There's no solution.
Yeah.
We could try to use that power for good, right?
Yeah.
Like, focus that energy towards not worrying about something,
My
right? I
bosses
guess.
at work love it,
Yeah.
though. Like,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah. Like, so, like, let's
always nervous.
try to like be the best you can do at the thing.
Hmm.
Like, I tell my guys, I said, like, I'm not worried if we get the slide wrong, but I would like the slide right, right? And like, you guys gotta just, I just care. I just want you to care. It's the big thing. If you're gonna care about the right stuff. Don't worry about the other stuff. Right?
All right, so we're at about an hour and 5 minutes. So I usually like to keep it at about this time. Any longer than that, and people just won't listen because it's too much.
Oh, they'll listen. They like it.
Listen to 1.5 speed. That's my tip.
Yeah, it depends. Yeah, if there's slow talkers, especially, right? Like, I started doing that, and then like I'm like, should I be doing this? It's like, some stuff. But
But at
uh,
this point, I usually like to give my guests the opportunity if there's any organizations that you want to promote or just say thanks to for whatever help they provided you. And then if you want to give a shout out or hello to anybody out there.
go ahead.
So for me, I'll shout out to Raleigh Veterans Connect in the Raleigh area. So it was founded by Pete Marston. He's one of my mentors that helped me get into the industry, but he's really passionate about connecting veterans to opportunities in the Triangle. So the Triangle has a whole bunch diverse range of opportunities that veterans don't know of. So if you look them up on LinkedIn or you can Google them, you'll find their contact info there, and they have monthly meetups. And Pete will reach out to you and just talk to you, especially if you're transitioning, and try to see how he can help you and connect you with someone that could help your transition. So I'll give a shout out to them.
Wow, and I didn't even know they existed,
Yeah,
and I've been over
they're
here a
awesome.
long time. So like,
Hey, you should go.
yeah, that's very interesting. Yeah, and like we write children's books for the military. You could check them out at adventuresofamilitary.brat.com. Our third book will be coming out hopefully next month in August, maybe. It is dedicated to Gold Star kids. It is a tearjerker. I do not know how we're gonna read it publicly without crying because it's absolutely ridiculous. But it's gonna be our most important book yet. We're gonna start trying to get people to invest in it when we make it. But that book is designed to help kids through the trauma of dealing with a lost loved one in the military, whether it's a combat, traffic accident, helicopter accident, or a suicide, and what have you. And this book will help kids on that journey. But the problem is we cannot get the book into every child's hand with our funds available. So if people would like to invest in that in the future, in getting those books to those kids who need it the most, we're doing our job of creating it, but we need help to expand that. So we'll put that out later, share with everybody, because we really feel it's an important thing, and we just want to help kids. We, and we make at least 15 cents off of this. Like if that. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's good. And what was that website again, Dan?
So www.adventuresofamilitary.brat.com.
Okay, yeah, no, thank you. Because people ask me how much money am I making off of this podcast. It's like enough to me buy a latte.
Make it rain.
Well, that's good. Oh my
Oh,
God.
no. The tall,
the
the
tiny,
tall,
tiny.
the tall latte,
Oh.
not the venti.
Okay, good. Yeah.
So let's not get
Yeah.
carried away.
Yeah, no, I get yeah, I get it.
So I want to thank you both for being on, and veterans out there, if you need to contact either Marilyn or Dan, you can reach them on LinkedIn.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
not, you can email me here at arantoniorodriguez98@gmail.com, and I can get you in contact with them. We're all here just to help each other. And remember, you have something that makes you special, something that makes you unique. Identify what it is, maximize it to its fullest potential, and I know you'll be successful. So until next time, zot, 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 and roll tide.